Good morning. It's Ginny, Eli, and Tim from DS Tech in the beautiful Upper Peninsula. It's very beautiful today.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Everything is covered with white. Anyway, so, which might not be the case when this airs, hey?
Yeah.
It might be melting by then.
Maybe.
I hope so.
One can hope.
Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is some more information on AI, what it is, and then some of the mishaps that we've run into personally and some stories we've heard. Mm-hmm. So just going to give you some more information to help you use it more efficiently, that kind of stuff, and how much you can rely on it. So, or not rely on it. Go to dstech.net to get your free security assessments and stuff like that, and to send us messages, email security@dstech.net if you have any questions, and drop your questions below this video so that we can answer them. We love answering questions and we love hearing from you. So we like to know that you got some useful information out of our videos. With that said, what do you have for us, Tim?
The first thing I'll just open up with so you can kind of get my personal take on it is beware the AI salesman. All right, you're going to see a slew coming into 2023 next year where everything is saying that our solution here uses AI and it's going to be better than all the competition, and everyone's going to use AI like a fancy buzzword. And a lot of times they'll use it in replace of other things. It could be something that's simply doing automation and they're saying, oh, it's AI, or it's something that's machine learning and oh, it's AI. And I'll get into the differences in a little bit, but
it'll be complete BS.
Yeah, it has to be like, it'll do AI and solve your problems, and it's not even using any of the AI.
So I was telling you before we came on recording that I bought an app on my phone thinking that it was ChatGPT's, but it's not. ChatGPT doesn't have an app out yet, by the way.
Yep.
They claim to be it. And I actually argued with the AI
right.
about who it is. And then it got kind of nasty. And I was like, I don't like this app.
Yeah. People are taking some of the source code or trying to make their own and then making an app. And, it's kind of like when the internet first started and you have all these companies trying to do the search engine. It's the same thing. All these companies are trying to create their own AI. And,
yeah. So just beware. Right?
Yeah.
And yes, every marketer out there is going to be using this buzzword everywhere.
Yep, you're going to see it everywhere. Yeah. And the biggest thing with me is it's
including me.
And again, I might not do this exactly. A programmer that actually programs machine learning and AI will probably just shred me to ribbons here. But anyway, the biggest three things when you look at AI is you think of the basic thing is they call it automation, and that's been around for the longest time, where you have something that does it automatically for you, so you're just not having to oversee it. You think of assembly lines when you think of automation, where you have one machine that does something to the next machine, and it's just automatically going down the process. An example of that you use probably is when you go on vacation, and you have your email automatically reply to someone when you're gone that says, hey, I'm out till X date or whatever. That's an example of automation. The computer or whatever is just automatically doing something on your behalf. That's not AI.
Okay.
If you're saying my email system can reply to everyone automatically for you, and it's
so I have AI.
That's not AI. A lot of that requires you to set it up and configure it ahead of time and things like that. Maybe down the road they'll have a fully AI solution, but it's not.
So Ford starting my car for me on my app is not AI?
No.
Okay. Just wondering.
So now the one that's similar to that, and that's even one where I'm still not 100%, is I call it machine learning. Okay, so that's the idea that, machine learning is just a subcomponent of AI. So all AI uses machine learning, but not all machine learning can technically be categorized as AI because it's more niche in what it's doing. So that allows for computers to basically make reactions and predictions without actually being explicitly programmed to do so. An example of this would be like a little robotic vacuum if you have them in your house, where when you first get it, you first put it in your house and you hit vacuum my entire house. It's very kind of dumb. It's just bumping into all the walls, all the corners everywhere. It's doing one thing. But then as it's doing that one task, which it was programmed to do, which is just go to the right, hug the wall, and go around, it can now make a whole map of your house. So it's kind of learning. So that's the idea of machine learning, is it's doing one task it's told to do, but then by doing that, it can actually gain more information and then actually vacuum your whole house with that. So it's kind of like AI. There's a little program in there that's using machine learning to do this, and there's a little bit of human oversight to get the initial program going. But it's not so smart that if all of a sudden it comes across a dog toy, that it can recognize the dog toy and avoid it. It's going to try to run over it anyway and suck it up regardless. So it's not if it was smart enough to use all these databases of known things to avoid and to kind of tailor in more smartly. Maybe it'd be an AI vacuum, but it's not quite there yet. It's just bumping into stuff and going around. So
interesting. So robots are not necessarily AI.
Not depending how they're programmed. If they're programmed to do one specific task and they kind of just repeat that, to me that's more machine learning.
Yeah.
It's just it's doing a task and learning and training itself. And then what AI does is it takes a lot of those, it trains itself, and then also then takes external information as well. Databases that humans have pumped into it. You have the idea of like the Chat GPT. It used all the data up to like 20, whatever it was, 21 or something like that.
I think it's 2021.
And then you have the Bing one is using the search engine data, and it's using machine learning to learn more, but it's also using existing data sets in there, and then you having that human oversight. And that's where I see AI,
It's doing its research and it's learning. Okay.
So AI basically uses machine learning as a subcomponent and then also programs to learn, but then is capable of using additional data sets to determine what decision outcome is best. So it's actually using, based on all this information, I shouldn't run over this dog toy because it's not something I should be running over, as your little robot. If it was actually doing that, that to me would be like more of an AI vacuum. And maybe there's smarter home vacuums than mine that do that kind of thing. That's bridging.
I'm sure they're working on it.
To the gap.
So,
because obviously, obviously self-driving cars, right? Like Teslas, if a human jumps out in front of the vehicle, it's smart enough to know this is a human, stop no matter what, that kind of a thing. And so... but AI, kind of a weird story with that. I've heard some kind of not really horror stories, but the idea is criminals are trying to think of ways to, I guess you could say, extract that, like basically jump in front of a Tesla, force the owner of the car to stop, and then basically try to carjack them. There's some weird, caveats to AI. Never rely on AI 100%, all that kind of stuff. Just throwing that out there as one story I heard.
That's true because I can attest that using AI to help me write, or to help me come up with ideas, it's like an assistant, but I don't rely on it entirely.
Yeah.
I mean, because I actually, not in that app, but in ChatGPT, I had an argument with it because I was like, "You're wrong. You are wrong. This is, I was looking for something, and I was like, you're not giving me the right information because I know there's something that exists, and I couldn't find it. And finally, I found it on Google." And
give it the link.
And I gave it, and I said, "Here, this is what I was looking for." And then it finally said, "Oh, you're right. I apologize." I'm like, okay, so now it's rewriting.
And just kind of going into some more examples of where things were wrong. For example, with the Bing AI, that one's people are having more, I guess you could say, unique answers from it because it's actively learning as opposed to just taking a data set. So an example someone said was, today is in 2023, and it should be a very easy answer, but the chatbot said, no, today is 2022. Check your phone settings. Make sure your time's not wrong. And then there's like, no, today is 2023. And it argued further. It's like, scan for viruses. Make sure nothing's changing your phone. It would not admit that it was in 2023. So that's just an easy example of how it can be wrong. So don't just take the answers it gives you at face value.
Yeah.
Another time it was using itself as a source. So then it was creating a lie and then referencing that lie to be the proof of its lie. For example, this wasn't the exact, I forget the country it was, but it was like, say, Japan became part of South America. Makes no sense, right? But it had a weird statement.
That's according to Tim.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Just had a weird statement, but then it would reference that self as its own proof, and it would double down, and it would not admit that it was wrong. It wasn't that. It was something about some country leaving the EU. I forget the specifics.
It's probably like its data. It's looking at it and it's saying that this is right and you're wrong, right?
Because maybe
until
it's not
you
smart.
Prove it to them.
And maybe the data that it's fed initially and the data it's finding, it doesn't value one more than the other. So if it creates its own data and now that's as equal as the data that humans have fed it, is it going to start overriding the human fed data? I'm sure there's controls and it's programmed in there, but you never know.
You have to just keep an eye, know what you're talking about, give it the right prompts, use it appropriately as, like I said, just like it's like a little helper, you know. Sometimes my little helper ain't right.
And a good example I'll give too is you could ask 5 different people to go Google search you an answer, and you might get 5 different results depending on how they search and how good they are. It's just searching and finding information. The same thing, you're going to have 5 people ask them to write you a prompt or whatever with this AI, and you're going to get 5 different answers depending on how the users are familiar with using the tool. Just like being able to search really well and use like Boolean search for a year or kind of tweak that search algorithm, you can tweak the chat commands.
Do you remember when the search engines first came out?
Mm-hmm.
You just reminded me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Even now that you said that, because it did learn
Yep.
I mean, the humans learned how to program it better, but
Yep.
interesting.
Originally, it was just big directories trying to find new websites, and then you can even do that nowadays. Even in Google, you can do like, I forget the exact search, but you can do like the Boolean search with a date, and it'll give you articles only within that date range, so you can refine your search.
Oh, cool.
And things like that.
Hey,
so.
we learned a little trick now.
Yeah.
I like little tricks. Okay.
So it's going to be similar with AI. An example I give too, where it's just flat out wrong, is people are using it to create PowerShell scripts for them, which is great. It saves a lot of time, but it has been known to just make up fake commandlets. So it's making up commands that don't even exist, that are just to make its command. So if you didn't know PowerShell at all, and it all of a sudden spit out this command, you're like, well, that looks right. I'll use it, but it's using stuff that is not even in existence.
So
it made up
Just for the purpose of spitting something out.
Yeah.
People who are programmers can breathe a sigh of relief that it's not going to take over their job.
It's not going to take over your jobs. If anything, learn to use it to help you program faster, because it's going to be just like people are writing news articles now or stories, and they're using it to help them. It's going to be the same way with programmers, where it can spit out a good base for you or whatever you're doing, but it's going to be up to you to actually get in there, tweak it, and tailor it exactly to your custom and debug.
I read an article. I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't do enough digging to see. But I heard that there was a newspaper that used AI to write its articles. And
I'm sure there's probably 100 newspapers in the country right now that are all writing articles with ChatGPT.
Well,
they're just not telling you.
They got caught, and they're like, all of their data was wrong.
Oh, like in the actual article, people were calling them out. Like,
yeah, they're like,
saying this is wrong.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what happened. I didn't read the whole article, but I saw the headline and a little bit of it's like, oh, interesting. So.
Yeah, and again, because it could be just where it's making up, like make up a fake commandlet. It just made up a fake thing for the story, and it's not even
to fill it in.
To fill it in.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Just AI is not going to take over the world, in my opinion. It's going to be a buzzword. Everyone's going to try to sell you on it, and you just kind of do your research, know what the goal that you're trying to accomplish is first before you try to get an AI tool to accomplish that. Because the problem is people buy all these AI tools, and now they're like, well, what was I even trying to do with them? I forget. So make sure you have like a goal, what you're trying to accomplish before you get a tool to augment that as a thing too. People are like, oh, this is AI, let's just get it, and it doesn't help them in any way. So
yeah.
So
make sure it's
useful. The cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so we learned what AI actually is and not, and then Tim gave us some tips. I guess bottom line is just use it as a helper.
Yep, use it as a helper to augment your daily tasks.
To get them done faster.
Don't rely on it as a replacement is my best advice, because it is not there yet. It's not going to be there for a while, and it's always going to require
and know what you're talking about. Know what you're talking about. We said that in the last episode. So that's it. Got anything, Eli? Are you going to use AI today to help you with your job?
Oh boy, after this, I'm not sure.
I do. I use it every day, all the time. So, and I'll use it a lot today.
I'll even use it as a preliminary Google search. Like if it's like, how do I do this real quick? And I'll just kind of glance at it. If it looks relatively right, I'll be good. But
because it is quicker.
Yeah, and if there's
if it goes right to
the idea is like if you were to search Google and you just trusted Google to give you the answer without looking at any other websites, that's kind of what AI is doing. It's like giving you an answer without looking anywhere else. So you really have to trust it 100% for that, and it's just not there yet. But knowing what it is, if it's a quick little question, sometimes the answer is good, and then you can obviously search to verify. So
for sure. It is quicker if you
give
it the right information and it gives you the right information.
Start off on the right track.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So. Okay, so if you have any questions, drop them, and we'd love to to talk to your questions. And email security@dstech.net if you need any help with your networks and stuff like that. Go to our website, dstech.net, right below us, where you can sign up for your free assessment. So make it a great day.